Welcome, everybody, to the LinkedIn for B2B Growth Show. I'm your host, Michelle J. Raymond, and welcome to the show, Laura Khalil. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Michelle. We were chatting before we started recording, and I'm so fired up. I cannot wait to demystify our topic today.
Now, we're going to be talking about cold outreach, which I think is a thing when I have conversations with friends that I've met on LinkedIn that are consultants, coaches, or have their own businesses. Pretty much going to throw it out there. It's a thing everybody avoids. Sales in general, I don't think is most people's strong point. But I'm gonna literally launch the grenade straight up just so we can get it out there. Marketing doesn't sell. What do you have to say to that?
Amen, sister. No, it does not. Marketing does not get you clients. It doesn't. And I say that as a marketer and as a marketing consultant. Marketing gets you awareness, and that's a great thing. We need awareness, but what gets you clients is actually selling. And I would argue sell first and earn the right to do marketing after you have validated your offer, because then your marketing goes way further.
Pow. We are just going to put that straight out there. And I think that's going to set the tone for this whole conversation. You and I share a passion of we are sick to death of seeing people that are working their butts off, doing everything that they can to grow their business, except this one magical thing called selling. And hopefully today's episode, with all the tips that I know you're going to share, is going to help some people. So let's talk about cold outreach. We've all been on the end of the bad DMs that we receive. Do you have a favorite worst one that you get? Can I even ask you that?
Okay, I don't know how this happens, but I am currently on the "We have an incredible franchise opportunity for you" list. I receive quote unquote franchise opportunities at least once or twice a day. And again, why is this terrible? There is nothing in the world that indicates I would be interested in owning a franchise. I already own one business. Do I need to have a franchise? Do I need to own a McDonald's too? Where is this coming from? That's the most annoying one currently. One of my personal favorites was a woman who emailed me telling me how to do sales. And I thought that's really interesting. Have you read my profile? Like, do you know who you're talking to? But I don't know. What about you, Michelle? What are yours?
I've been having fun every Sunday. I'm doing a post where I think about these messages and align them with a GIF. And what I picture in my head when somebody says, "Hey, I stumbled across your profile." What does that mean? Did you faceplant somewhere? You popped up in my feed, and I just imagine whack a mole. Here I am. And of course, if you come at me with buying a list, automated lead gen, take a look at some of my content, you'll know that presses my buttons and you are
Mhm.
going to get a response that's crazy. I think my least favorite right now, I'm going to go with "You have an impressive career." It was okay. I didn't even really enjoy it that much, but I'm loving where I am now. Thank you.
I have to tell you guys a pro tip, and this may be controversial, but what I ended up doing in my email was setting up a filter that filtered any message that had the title or the subject line of "quick question" automatically into my spam. People have said to me, "Laura, doesn't that get rid of your clients?" I do check my spam, of course, just to make sure I'm not alienating a client. Nope. It is all this BS cold outreach that is garbage.
Yeah, there is so much garbage, and I especially feel you when they offer the same services that you offer. That's probably the most insulting out of all of them. Okay, we've got that off our chest now, right? So we're just
Woo!
putting that out there that there's so much bad stuff so that we can start to look at, okay, let's not be that. Let's do this thing another way. So let's talk about cold outreach. Before we even start, what have we got to have in place? What should we be thinking about? What should we be doing before we do anything? Because I know people are keen sometimes, but that keenness can bring us unstuck. So, what's some tips before we actually get started?
I want to provide you with answering one simple question of why do people buy? Why do people buy? Because this is what we need to have prepared. And there's three things you need to know. The first is you need to know what problems you solve. A lot of people will focus on, I offer this service, I offer this product, and that's great. But what problems do you solve? Because number two, why do people buy? They have a problem that they need solved. And so Instead of thinking about, I offer these things, think about, what problems do I solve and who do I solve them for, or who do I enjoy most solving them for? The degree of success you're going to have is also directly proportional to how much the prospect feels you understand them, which is exactly why when Michelle and I talk about these scripted messages we get, or the spray and pray techniques that they're using where they're mass blanketing people, it's why they don't work. Scripts in cold outreach do not work. Frameworks can work. Scripts do not. And so it is really important when we do cold outreach that we really know who we are talking to. Who exactly are you targeting? Who is your target market? Who do you want to reach out to? And I know these may sound like very basic questions, but at the end of the day, it is the mastery of these very simple questions which will enable all of us, including you listening and watching this, to be highly successful. So I encourage everyone to think about the problems you solve, who you want to solve them for, and remember that people buy according to the amount of trust they've earned with us. And trust is simply earned at different rates with different people. I'm sure you've seen this, Michelle. In my business, someone can know me for a week and they can decide that they want to work privately with me, which would be a premium offering. There are other people who are on my email list for 2 years who may decide to purchase a $27 product. The trust takes time, it can take years to buy a $27 product. It can take a week to buy a premium product. So it's just different for everyone. So we need to be thinking about, how do we earn trust with the people whose problems we want to solve? So trust is our currency. You get really one shot to not screw it up, which is why we don't want to send garbage cold outreach. And trust can really be earned or it can be transferred onto you. Those are the ways that trust works. So the quickest way to build trust is through strong referrals, and it is through speaking at other people's events and platforms. That is the strongest way because there's a transfer of trust from someone that you really trust onto the person who is selling a service. They're saying, I vouch for this person. I think they're legit. And I'm transferring my trust that I built with you onto them. Cold outreach, we have zero trust. You are just getting started, which means we cannot walk into cold outreach thinking, I'm going to try and get a meeting. Like that is, don't even go there. Because isn't that what we're all waiting for, Michelle? Like for them to be like, so when are we going to meet to talk about how I can help your business?
Of a problem that I don't even know that I solve for you. And I think that's the thing as well, is that I would even go as far as we don't have zero trust. I think we're in the negatives because on a daily basis, everybody's bombarded with so much bad stuff that already we've got the blocks up. And so I don't even
Mm-hmm.
think you start at zero. I think people inherently distrust everyone on
Yeah.
LinkedIn because
Mm-hmm.
of how much bad stuff comes through. And then from that, you have to get past that and then start building your own. And so I think
Yeah.
it's almost, for me, a two-step process. And that's what we're up against. It's not on your side. The things aren't in your favor. And so I really love what you said. And you said before that maybe it's simple to understand the clients we want to serve. Now I'm going through Operation Rebrand right now. I have to tell you that sitting there for someone like me that
Mm-hmm.
had to choose who is it that I want to target on, I discovered I had two main audiences. Now I had solopreneurs, which were consultants or professional services. So I had them that running their own business. And then I had B2B corporates doing corporate training for employees. Now, when I sat there and looked at it, I've got an audience that matches one and a future of where I want to head, and they weren't the same. And by trying to be everything to everyone, all of a sudden, even me, I'm putting it out there, I had to do that soul searching to go, you have to pick one. Now, does it mean I'll never work with the other? No, it doesn't. But I couldn't write headlines. I couldn't write a banner. I couldn't write my website copy,
Mm-hmm.
sales copy, have a conversation with the right people. There's so much of a flow on effect that all of a sudden, when
Yeah.
I toss that coin, that moment when the coin's in the air, And I went, that's the way I want to go. Scared me a little, not going to lie, scared a little because I know I have to let go of some other bits. And they're my favorites. They're my people. They're like me. It feels good to help people, but there's a moment in time. So it's easy and it's not because we're emotional. But yeah, I think knowing that now, I can build that trust faster with the
Yeah.
right people.
You're like a masterclass right now on exactly what needs to happen. And also, I'm so glad you shared that because it is really hard for people. It is hard to think about narrowing, but I want everyone to consider that kind of narrowing is actually the key to expansion. You have to get smaller to go bigger. And frankly, for anybody who's listening to this, if you're under 3 million in revenue, you need to pick a target market and go after them and earn the right to expand. Now, to Michelle's point, sure, if someone comes to you and you like them and you want to help them and they're not in your target market, of course you can help them. Of course. But it makes everything so much easier when we have that target market. And Michelle, business should be easy. Business should be easy. It shouldn't be hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle, truly.
I think that's it. And I think this leads us into my next question that I wanted to ask you. How do you choose who to target with your cold outreach? So, say we've got our target market, we've established that, we jump onto LinkedIn in this particular case,
Hmm.
because that's my weapon of choice.
Hmm.
Jump onto LinkedIn, then what?
Okay, can I take a step back? I want to first align on target market because I suspect that people who are having trouble getting sales don't know how to define a target market. So, can we start there for a second?
Absolutely. Fair call.
Okay. One of the things that we have to think about when we're thinking about our target market and we're thinking about what do I want to sell these services for is that specialization pays a premium. So in my business, I help my clients work on contracts typically between $50,000 to $250,000. What does that mean? It means that they specialize in two very particular ways. What they do for the client is very clear, meaning that it is not like walking into, I don't know if you have this in Australia, but in the United States, we have a restaurant called the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, yes. I love it. I've been there. But
Okay. Yeah,
that
I
menu is
know.
overwhelming. Even
The
I know
menu
that.
has like 35 pages. You can go around the world on that menu and you can eat everything from Szechuan to pizza to Italian to sushi. They're all over the place. Y'all, you are not the Cheesecake Factory. Okay. You're not. You don't have the overhead to be the Cheesecake Factory. You also don't have the overhead to be Oprah. You can't serve everyone. Okay. Oprah has hundreds, if not thousands of employees. You have yourself and maybe an assistant or something. What do you wanna be a real craftsperson of? What do you wanna do really well? And so instead of going to the Cheesecake Factory, we're going to that really high-end restaurant where every night when we go in, the chef has actually prepared a special menu based on what's in season, and we're gonna eat that, and we're gonna love it, and it's gonna be super exclusive and awesome. That's you all, okay? That's what we want. So really clear on what we do, and we're also really clear on who we serve. Again, the target market. Now, the first thing is you're always going to be too expensive for the wrong target market. So if you are trying to target a group and the answer is consistently no when it comes to pricing, and you feel like, oh gosh, I guess I have to lower my pricing. I guess I have to be cheaper. Pricing is rarely a true objection when we are actually in the sales process with the right target market that actually understands the value. So what that means is you don't need to go cheaper, you need to go into a different target market. Your target market just isn't the right one for those services, okay? Also, I would avoid a declining market. Nobody get into like cassette tape sales or like DVD sales. Is probably not the place to be right now. So we don't want to go after people who can't afford us. In the definition of a target market, because this is what I want people to understand. In fact, if you understand anything from this, it is this: a target market is a self organizing group of people. Now, let me just break down what exactly that means because sometimes we can get really caught up in avatars and psychographics and demographics, all of which has a place, but a self-organizing group of people means those folks have a place where they naturally gravitate to hang out together. Okay. That is the definition of a target market, which means that if I cannot find places where my target market gravitates to hang out, like conferences, associations, like meeting places online, like podcasts or publications where they like to hang out, if I can't find those, I don't have a clear enough target market. The easiest example is accountants. Accountants, very clear target market. What about accountants in Sydney, Australia? Even clearer target market. And again, we're moving up the scale here in terms of specialization. The more specialized you get, the more clear your service offerings are and specific, the more you can charge. So, to answer your question, Michelle, often when we're figuring out who do I need to target, it's really who is my target market? Because the more specific we can get in answering that question, it becomes clear that, oh, these are actually the people I need to go after. And so if we have had trouble answering that question, if we can't figure out, well, yeah, I want to go after accountants. Okay, but what type of accountants? Do you want to go after boutique accounting firms? Do you want to go after large 1,000-person firms? Do you want to go after accountants in a particular region or in a particular city or that do a particular type of accounting? Because as we begin to answer those questions, who we target will become revealed to us through those answers.
It so is easier said than done. And even for myself to continue my story with Operation Rebrand, if you had asked me up until I really sat down to focus and I had to choose business owners or B2B businesses that are looking to execute LinkedIn training in the business, in my head, 1,000% every time I would have said to you that my target audience is B2B marketers. So marketing managers,
Mm,
heads of marketing. I
mhm,
wouldn't say particularly geography, although most of my business comes out of the US and it's
mm,
just starting to start up here in Australia. When I actually started to think about this, is that I realized that yes, that's where some of my business is coming from now, but I wasn't getting enough inquiries from those people because when I started to look at it, it's not always the marketing managers, it's also the learning and development managers, which I hadn't even considered. And
mm,
this is something that I only recently, I've been doing this for 3 years. My business is reasonably new in the big scheme of things. But for me, when I stopped and thought about it, I was like, who is responsible for it in the business? So marketers might run the company page, which is what I've historically been known for, but who's rolling it out into the whole of the team? And I'd almost ignored or excluded one big chunk of people I should be connecting with and building into my audience. And it's
mhm,
had a flow on effect and the kinds of problems they have and what they're looking for and the language I use. There's going to be so much more that comes to that, but it's not always as obvious as what I think we assume. Maybe
mhm.
because our competitors are doing that, and that is the worst strategy of all, following what someone else does. And,
Well, and you also
this is
don't know how successful they are.
chances are probably not, because what I'm discovering a lot of the time is all that shimmers is not gold, especially on social media platforms. So we've got all that defined, but here's the thing. I come across so many people that are absolutely petrified of sending
Mhm,
cold outreach messages. I'm lucky, spent 20 years in B2B sales. I don't understand why people don't want to reach out because in me, I have a really powerful context for selling. Problem solving, helping people. The more I do
mhm.
of both, the more I sell. So why wouldn't I want to do these things? But
Yeah.
for others, scares them.
Mhm.
What can you suggest that they try to help them get over this fear?
So the first thing I want to say is I really want to empathize with everybody who has this fear. I never, ever in my life expected to teach business development and marketing, ever. I am not a natural salesperson. I was also terrified of doing cold outreach, and I lost jobs early on in my career because I would not sell. So I get it. I get it. And this is why this is meant to be easy for you. So I first want to do a little mindset shift with everybody. because you are all trained, and we are all trained on the point of cold outreach being to make a sale or to get a meeting. I want you to put that thought to the side, okay? Your goal of doing cold outreach is not to make a sale or to set up a meeting. Just put that to the side. We have no agenda. By having no agenda, you will accomplish that agenda. This is like one of those crazy paradoxes. Your goal in doing cold outreach is this: it is to find cool people to get to know better. I personally, as a business owner, I only want to work with cool people like Michelle. I only want to work with them. I don't wanna work with people who drain me, who suck the life out of me, who are dour, who are lousy, negative, whatever. Why would I wanna work with them? So my goal when I do cold outreach and when I teach my clients is go find cool people on LinkedIn who are doing interesting things, who you want to get to know better. And that is it. And Michelle said, we don't even start at 0 with trust. We start at like -100 with trust with people because they're all waiting for the other shoe to drop. Everyone is waiting for you to be like, "So, can I tell you more about what I do?" Everyone's waiting for you to get into the pitch. Everyone's waiting for you to try to push into a meeting. But what happens when we don't do that? What happens when we see someone, let's say, and this is how I do it. I see someone write something really cool. I see a cool comment. I see an amazing bio on somebody's profile, and I will reach out and I will say, and this is how I speak, okay? I will say, homegirl, I love your profile. I love this comment. This comment is lit. And I will be putting the fire emojis. I'm sending gifts. I am just like being a human being. I'm just being myself. And that's what I'm doing. And if they vibe with my personality, I'm going to tell you something. People are going to respond. People respond to this because they're like, who is this bitch? What's happening here? And because that's me, but that's my personality. So I'm not trying to say everyone else needs to be like me. You need to be like you. And this naturally starts conversations. Okay. I realize I don't have trust with them. So I'm not trying to push them into a meeting. How do I know I can solve their problem? I don't know what their problem is at this point. Like, I'm just trying to get to know them. So I don't know. I'm doing the mic drop right now. You're not trying to get into a meeting. You're trying to just meet cool people. Imagine everyone at some point in their life has been single. You go to the bar, you show up. The person who sidles up next to you and is like, hey, can I have your number? Can I have your number? Can I take you out? You are going to run screaming. You're like, get the hell away from me. You're psycho. Okay. The person, however, who's sitting at the bar and who's, hey, that cocktail looks delicious. What are you drinking? I'm drinking this. What are you drinking? Neat. Okay, cool. What brought you in tonight? Cool. Y'all, if we're acting thirsty, okay, everyone knows this from dating. If you're acting thirsty, people are repelled. You cannot be thirsty. You gotta just be normal, okay? Just be a normal person, okay? That's how you do it. But that's the
Excellent.
basics.
They can smell the desperation. You can
Right.
smell it from a mile away when you get automated messages, which almost have, oh my God, I'm sending 800 of these in hope that 3 of you will do something, in hope that 1 of you will do something so that my boss doesn't
Right.
scream at me. I've
Right.
used a template off one of these automation tools because they told me they work and they're
Oh
fabulous.
my God.
Oh, did you read the fine print where they say, come join my engagement pod and pretend that they're working as well? So there are a lot of people that take these templates and come and use them. And we have this whole etiquette, I'm going to call it. Maybe it's even a rule on LinkedIn. Don't connect and pitch. The etiquette is do not just slam me with a message. So I hate even more when they go, okay, won't do it on the first one. Hi, we're so friendly. Here's your nice message. And then the second one is
Right.
bam. And so that is as fake and as just
Don't do it.
drives me batty. Do
Mm-hmm.
not do it. Like
Do
just
not.
simple, flat out. I'm telling you right now, I'm on my soapbox. Do not do it. Laura's going to come after
Exactly.
you. I don't know. You could
I
be.
will come after you. I will. I'm watching everybody. No, don't do it. Or what will happen is if you send that to me, I will post it publicly on my LinkedIn as I love to and share what's wrong with it. So don't do it. Just get to know people. And I know that sounds crazy, but imagine just you know how to talk to human beings in real life. Assuming you're not a cave dweller who's like living in your mom's basement. If you are, you've got other problems. But if you know how to talk to a human being, you know how to do cold outreach. Okay. You have the capacity to do cold outreach. Maybe you don't have all the finesse and skill. That's okay. But you have the capacity to do it. You're just talking to people.
And you take the pressure off yourself, which makes it so much easier. So, are there particular things you would avoid in these cold outreach messages to
Mhm.
stop them from sounding spammy? Couple of quick tips, because I have another question that I want to ask you that I want to dive into, which I think is going to help people even more.
Within my product, Cold Outreach Cure, I actually give a framework for exactly how to do cold outreach. Now, like I said, how do we avoid sounding spammy? Let me give you some tips. One, you're not going to use a script. So everybody can smell a script from a mile away. You're not going to use a script, okay? You are not going to push anyone into a meeting. You are not going to pitch anything. You are going to lead with curiosity, with openness, with kindness towards another human being who is on planet Earth with you. And I know that sounds like very broad, but literally, we're all humans having an experience. You don't know how someone's day is going, you don't know what's happening in their life. And you don't want to be the straw that broke the camel's back by pitching them something on the worst day of their life or whatever. Just don't do that stuff. So don't use scripts, use frameworks instead. I recommend leading with one thing I think is infectious, and you may have picked up on it, is enthusiasm. Now, I'm lucky because I can get enthused about a lot of things. I would encourage you to say, what am I enthusiastic about in their profile? What am I enthusiastic about in a comment they wrote or in something I've noticed about them? And lead with enthusiasm. It is infectious. If I can share genuine, everyone, genuine enthusiasm with another individual, again, not everyone can sniff and smell out the fake stuff. But if I can get in the habit of doing that, you're going to be much more likely that people are going to take notice. And then if you don't sell them, whoa, what, who is this?
Pattern interrupt. That's all it
Yes.
is. You're doing something that the masses aren't doing. It is
Mhm,
really that simple. Just don't be like all the sheep that are doing the
mhm,
wrong thing. And it's so
right.
easy to stand out. But, like, Laura, let's say we've done the cold outreach
Yeah.
piece, we've got them to actually connect.
Mhm,
Right. So, yay, we've got to that point. We have done all the right things. Here's the next piece of cold outreach, which I think people fall off the cliff, so to speak. The art and science of following things up. And I call it an art and a science because I think there's a little bit too much and there's a whole heap of not enough going on when it comes to
mhm,
follow up. Do you avoid cadences? Can it be a one size fits all? Or is it something, again, we can
mhm.
follow frameworks, but maybe not template cookie cutter responses to this?
I think there are frameworks and systems. Within Elevate, we teach a systematic approach to doing this type of follow up. What I will say is, you are not Glenn Close, and this is not Fatal Attraction, okay? We don't actually need to boil a frickin' bunny to get somebody's attention. Some of these people, if do I need to set a restraining order? What is going on here? If I don't respond 6 times, do you think I'm gonna respond the 7th or 8th time? Like, I sometimes I really wonder, what is going on with you folks? So, we're not gonna do that, okay? We're gonna take a hint. And again, I'm gonna go back to dating because it's something we have all done and have experience with. If you sense someone doesn't wanna talk to you, y'all, keep it moving. Keep it moving, okay? We are not going to keep hitting them up. We are not gonna keep annoying them. But if you have someone who you've made contact with, who now they're in your network, okay? You've made contact, there's been some back and forth. Now they're in your network. We do want to keep in touch, assuming they're receptive. I always say give it 2 chances. If I reach out to someone and I don't hear from them the first time, I will give it a little time and I may follow up again with something that makes sense for them, either related to a comment. I might even just respond to a comment they put on a post. I might write a thoughtful comment on a post they've put on LinkedIn. And again, thoughtful means like more than this is cool, thanks. Like it's actually a thoughtful comment. You all know what that means. Okay. And if I get nothing from them, if I reach out again and I get nothing from them, I am not going to turn into Glenn Close. Okay. I am not going that route. So we are just going to back off. Now, this also means, and this is where I see a lot of my clients and a lot of people getting tripped up. We get very fixated on certain people. And we think, I reached out to 3 people. 3 people. I don't know what to do. They didn't respond to me. Listen, you ain't doing enough cold outreach. Okay. If you are worried about a small group of people and you think you have done a heavy lift, I got some news for you. You have done no lift. You need to like double time it. We need to be like freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger over here pumping iron. You need to be doing way more cold outreach. This, when people say sales is a numbers game, they ain't lying. Okay. So if you're not getting outreach or you're not getting a lot of responsiveness, one, you want to reflect upon what am I doing wrong? Maybe I need to have somebody look at this and see if I am reaching out in the wrong way or I seem too thirsty or something is off. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is I need to reach out to way more people and don't get fixated on a couple of people that you're trying to hone in on. No, no, way open it up. And that is what is going to help you really get the ball rolling if you want to get cold outreach rolling. And by the way, I want to say this, I should have said this at the top. The reason I am so passionate about this stuff is because this is exactly how I got my contracts working with Fortune 500 companies. So I want you to know people will tell you cold outreach, oh my gosh, it doesn't work, or cold outreach, oh my gosh, it goes nowhere. That's not actually true. Now, I'm not going to say that it works overnight. I don't want to make any promises, but it does work. And it just takes understanding how to do it and being consistent with this. You cannot do it once and think you're going to get something out of it. This has to be a part of your business development strategy. And for those of you who are listening or watching right now who are not yet book solid, your job is business development. Your job is business development. Your job is not posting reels on Instagram. It ain't dancing on TikTok. And it's sure not posting 24/7 on LinkedIn and thinking that by posting and praying for clients, they're going to come through. Because if they have not come through before, survey says they ain't coming through now. We got to start reaching out.
Look, where do I even say besides ditto from me? I think that's as simple as it is. It is a numbers game. And if I could just add one more piece of all of this, make the no's mean nothing. Like it's just a no for now. And I'd take the example of just yesterday, probably one of my fastest sales that I've done in I don't know how long. I had someone book a call with me 4 hours later from whenever they booked. So the first available time slot yesterday, they booked it and they turn around and they say to me, Michelle, such and such referred me to you, blah, 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 blah. Next minute, they're like, bang, we're done. Now,
Mhm.
the person that referred him to me, I'd had a call with maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago. It wasn't the right time. Things didn't go ahead at
Mhm.
that. End of conversation, still connected. But here she is out in the real world referring people to
Yep.
me. You do not know what's going to come out of having amazing relationships and building yourself a B2B community. This is
So true.
why the numbers of the right people, it may not be them that buys from you, but you don't know who they're talking to. And I think this is the thing when you just keep planting those seeds, doing the right things, stop avoiding reaching out because you don't want to be like the spammers. We've been giving you every single tip today on how to avoid this. Just follow what Laura has said. Go back to the beginning of this, grab a pen and paper and just write it down. She's giving you a masterclass of which I am completely appreciative of everything that you've shared with the audience today, because I know that this will make a difference to people's businesses. If you
Absolutely.
follow what you have been told today, you will grow your business, which is why we're here today. I'm going to encourage people. I will put Laura's details on how you can connect with her on LinkedIn. Make sure you do that. Go to her profile, top right hand corner. Underneath the banner is a bell. Ring that bell to stay up to date with all of the latest tips that she offers regularly on LinkedIn that I find a ton of value, which is why I've had you on the show, and you have delivered all that and more. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I appreciate someone else helping other people grow their businesses, because if you don't sell and you don't want to sell, go get a job, because otherwise you're going to go broke and that's not going to be fun. We've shared everything you need today. So, Laura, one last tip. Got anything else? This is your chance. How would you like to end this today?
I just want to say consistency is key. I mentioned it briefly, but it is super important that in anything you want in life, you keep consistent. You move forward imperfectly. I don't care if you make mistakes. I care that you try. And I care that you try every single day. And you will absolutely get better if you give yourself permission to do something that scares you a little bit. And Michelle and I, we are here to help you at every step of the way.
Absolutely. So we are going progress over perfection. It's one of my favorite sayings. I think that is the tip today. If you need any help, always here, reach out, come and connect with us on LinkedIn, and we can continue this conversation. So thank you, everybody that's joined and listening in. We appreciate you. Until next week, cheers.